Howdy guys, it's Joe here, and today I want to be talking to you guys about how you can destroy his D.Va with a VOD gameplay, telling you, some of the really good things that she's doing. But before we get to that, I want to tell you guys to, first off, not be afraid to pick D.Va. I feel like a lot of people currently are thinking that their main is completely unplayable. Nobody should ever pick her for any reason, and people are actually starting to flame some D.Va players for picking the character. And I'm gonna say, don't do that. She's overall not the best tank in the game right now. She doesn't have the best win rate, and she isn't, the strongest in every situation, but she does have some really nice situations, as we see on this certain map. She has some really nice stuff about her, and especially if you're playing with other divers, you can do quite a lot with this character. She's just really tanky, even compared to a lot of the other divers. If you can, try to get a Winston, get a Roadhog, or anything else while you're playing D.Va, just for a little bit more damage, a little bit more consistency with diving, and you can overall do really good as the character. Now, she isn't quite as good with the traditional team comps, I feel. A lot of the times with someone like Soldier, she does okay, but not quite the best. And as well with other people like McCree, maybe not the best idea with a Reinhardt and stuff like that. But if you do go on this diver team comp, she can do quite well. So I just wanted to say that before we get going, and now we're off to the VOD. So in this gameplay, we see pretty much exactly what I was talking about. We see a really nice diving comp with a Winston, with a Genji, and then of course with a Lucio and with a Reinhardt and with a Tracer. So it's pretty much the perfect diving comp. And if you are playing this character, you want to try to get a good diving comp, or at least a good enough diving comp. Of course, in competitive, you can't always get the exact comps that you want to play, and you can't really get angry at your team for that. A lot of times people just don't play certain characters. But even if you can get just the Winston, or maybe just a Genji and a Tracer, you can often do quite well. We started off right here with some really nice stuff about him. Well, first off, he just kind of calls out immediately that he's going to be jumping up here and going after this McCree. He tells his entire team, half of them go after him, and they just get a free pick at the beginning. Then, of course, Genji gets another pick on that Ana. It was a really easy free pick. And overall, just calling people on diver comps is really nice, because as we see right here, when you're playing on maps with high ground, which D.Va is very good against, often their team will be kind of split up. And if they are split up, you just dive in there, kill one or two of them in a 4v2, and you just kind of destroy from there. And yeah, I'd really say that D.Va is especially good on maps where the enemies take the high ground and where they do split. This is a really good example. There's some other good maps as well, Route 66 in some parts of the maps. Some other bad maps could be maybe Dorado at sometimes. The second point's okay, but the first point, it's not always the best, because they do stay at high grounds, but they're right next to each other for the most part. Anyways, we see right here, they're just continuing. He walks up straight to the front, and you do want to kind of remember that you can face tank, and that you should probably face tank with your first life, and then you can easily escape after you finish face tanking with this character. And then, of course, your teammates can secure kills. Once you get onto your baby D.Va, you shouldn't be so afraid to get kills and to run away from kills as well. I feel like a lot of people, when they're on baby D.Va, are just really afraid with the character, and she can do quite well, and she can, of course, escape quite easily, as the D.Va Mech still does have a hitbox that will protect you for a little bit. Right here, he calls out to the right, or I guess the left, that there's a Roadhog, and again, they're just kind of writing up. The Winston calls out somebody that they want to go after, and then they immediately jump in. And here we see something a little bit different. This time, the D.Va player didn't actually get all the way to the front, but she did buff people backwards, pretty much as a buffer to the enemy team. And when they did that, the rest of his team could go in and get a few kills. He didn't exactly get them by himself, but by being so tanky and just so strong, he could essentially just help his team get the rest of the kills. And then, of course, he kind of shoved the Mercy to the side. That was just overall really good by them. And yeah, drawing attention to your body, it's a good idea to do as D.Va. Right here we see something that you should probably do if you're in baby mech. There's no reason not to do it. Just run around corners, shoot people from far range, and try to get back to your mech. Of course, you can stay in it for a little bit longer, or stay out of your mech for a little bit longer, and try to get some really nice poke, as you can do that pretty easily, but overall it's a better idea for the most part. Try to get back in your mech as fast as you can. This is overall probably the best way to do this. Now, as far as continuing from here, you get straight into your mech. They're getting wombo comboed, and something we see right here, which is very easy to do, just right-click people that are being nano-boosted. You can block the majority of the nano boost. Think like 4 seconds out of 6 seconds, and it takes them a few seconds to walk close to you anyway, so you can block the majority of it. Of course, you can't get people like Genji, but most other people you can stop for quite a while, so you should be doing that. It's a very simple thing, but something that you should be trying to focus on. And then, there we go, they just finished it off. Just by simply diving on people and pushing on people, staying a little bit ahead of the cart, and stopping people from getting onto the cart, you saw a really demolishing round right there. And here we go with some nice some nice stuff that you can do if you want to be a D.Va main, just spam all your different emotes, because that is the way that you do it. Spam the salt emote. This player hasn't actually used any emotes after he gets a kill, so I guess not that salty? I don't know. Just kidding though, I do want to remind you guys that you can play defense without a Reinhardt, and it can be kind of hard, but it can also be really, really effective. D.Va Winston I feel like is pretty strong, and of course, D.Va Roadhog I feel like is pretty decently strong as well. It's a little bit harder to play, and you do have to make sure that you know exactly when you're going in. You do have to make a lot more callouts, as Reinhardt, in general, is a little bit easier. You know, people stand right behind him, while with D.Va, you have the defense matrix that doesn't last as long. It's a little bit harder to get used to, but it can be very nice. Alright, here we see D.Va versus the Zarya, which we see quite a bit. It is kind of hard, though. Of course, Zarya does kind of counter you. But we do talk about a little bit about that later. What you can do versus Zarya often is just hide around corners and hide around edges and hope that your teammates are going to go after the Zarya, which they often will. By yourself, D.Va doesn't do the best, but you can tank against Zarya for a while. Just make sure that you aren't trying to get a 1v1 and just trying to get headshots all the time, as you're probably going to lose the majority of those. So just kind of hope that your teammates can do that. As well, if you know that you're going to die, we saw right there, just try to get the maximum amount of damage that you can. If you're stuck in the corner right next to the enemy team, just try to get damage out, try to get ultimate charge. Don't just try to run away because you're just going to die anyways. And yeah, just do that. It's a really basic thing, but something that you should do. Alright, there we saw a nice save against this soldier. He probably would have died right there if you didn't do that. And if you see someone on your team doing something kind of dumb, you can easily block them with this character. So that's, I guess, a nice thing that you can do. Right here we see the Winston. He finally goes for an ultimate, but D.Va doesn't focus on him. You could be distracted by that, but it's really not worth your time. You could instead try to push these people away from the front. And since the Winston with his ultimate without teammates can't really do that much damage, it really doesn't matter way too much. Then of course the Winston ultimate's down. You can go back, try to kill him after you've already pushed away the other people, and after you've already gotten a few kills, and just try to, you know, finish off the stock. And you can see that it worked right there. You just want to make sure that you don't get way too distracted, but that you make sure to go off and finish the kill afterwards. Because if he didn't go back, maybe the soldier would have died, and maybe the Winston could have jumped on its support and just jumped on more and more people. You do want to just kind of make your priorities, but make sure that you eventually go back to try to stop those people, as you quite easily can, because you're pretty fast, and because you do decent amounts of headshot damage, especially versus people like Roadhog and people like Winston, as they have pretty good heads. Now, continuing from here, we also see, you know, just make sure to try to stand in the front, try to, you know, just take as much damage as possible as you can, and you don't always have to stand on the ground to stop people from engaging. Just by simply standing up here, which is a really good position by the way, you can make so that people can't walk through the middle. You have a height advantage so you can get easier headshots, you can jump down, while you can also shoot across. It's just a good position. If you don't have a Reinhardt, probably one of the best positions that you should be going for. Again, right here though, we see a D.Va 1v1. D.Va's not really doing way too much damage for half of it. You know, go in finally when you know that you're going to get the kill, but for the other half, just kind of hiding behind the walls. Really easy right click right there, just kind of stopping that damage. No reason to not do that. And right here we see him saving his ultimate for quite a long amount of time. Could immediately go for his ultimate, and I feel like a lot of bad D.Vas would do that, as the enemy D.Va did right there, which is a little bit better for them, as they don't have a Reinhardt or a Mercy. But since the enemy team does have a Reinhardt or a Mercy, for our players, you should probably save it. Wait until the Reinhardt shield is down, or wait for at least the Mercy ultimate to be down, or the Mercy just to be dead, as we see right there, and then you can do quite a bit better. I think he's waiting all the way for the Reinhardt to be down, and since the Rein is down now, you can get a pretty nice ultimate. Unfortunately, the majority of them are already dead anyway, so it'd be kind of a waste, but you can probably do that, and you should probably do that, as if you go for it way too early, you're just kind of wasting your ultimate. They can just be revived, it can just be blocked. You can make sure to try to use your ultimate just to break through the Reinhardt shield if that's your plan, but your teammates have to be ready for that and ready to attack people behind it. That's especially useful with Pharah though, because you can ult, break the Reinhardt shield, and then Pharah can just maul straight through them. And if you have a Zarya on your team, you can make that even better because the Reinhardt shield's dead. You can maybe happen to hit the Zarya ult on someone like a Mercy and just kind of go in from there. But it is all really, really situational. Alright, here we see him just walking up. You can often body tank like this and kind of just get behind people and make so your team can get them quite easily. Right there we see a really nice maneuver where you're shooting around corners and it makes people back off, as Baby D.Va does have quite a bit of damage, so they really can't do that. They have to get back. And then right here, we see Pharah ulting. You have two options right there. You can either A, go for damage yourself, try to get someone in the back line like we see right here, or B, right click on the Pharah, or I guess defense matrix of the Pharah, and try to make so that she doesn't take any more damage. Because if you can make so that she lasts longer, well, she's going to do a lot more damage than even you can. But if you feel like you can get a more important target like a Mercy in the backline, it's probably a little bit better for you to do that yourself. And finally, of course, don't waste your time hitting on someone like a Roadhog, someone like a Reinhardt. It just makes a lot of sense like that. But overall, that's of course how this match went. Sorry, I went a little bit over the match itself. And I feel like D.Va is in a pretty okay spot. Of course, I would like her to be a little bit stronger, and especially when she's playing on maps where there isn't high ground that she can kind of utilize and kind of just whop through the enemies for being on it. It can be kind of hard. Straightforward maps and King of the Hill maps that don't have high ground can be really, really difficult for the character. And I'd say maybe if you want to play D.Va, play a few different tanks, and then of course play D.Va when she fits the map. She can fit quite a bit of maps, and just play her when she does fit, you know, the team comp. She does fit quite a bit of team comps, really just diver team comps, and if you are in that situation, go for her. And even if you're going with someone like a Reinhardt, she can do okay. You just want to focus a little bit more on damage and kind of flanking with maybe one of your other flankers while having your team be a big group of 4 and try to push on the payload like that. King of the Hill is really kind of confusing though, so I can't say way too much on that. Anyways, that's all I'm going to say about this. Hope you guys enjoyed as always. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below if you want to know anything else about D.Va, or if you have anything about D.Va that you personally feel like is really important yourself. As always, guys, thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful day.